All right, we're here today. We're going to just to honor a friend of mine, a friend of all of ours, family to all of us, me too, Dub Hawkins. And Dub, we have a special award for you today. It's presented by, really by the Colts of Valor Foundation. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But we planned to do this in Atlanta on your 90th birthday. And you had the unfortunate, you went to the hospital instead, but so it's your fault. Yeah. The woman who heads us up for the Southeast region, Marilyn Cooper, for the Colts of Valor Foundation, planned to drive to Atlanta with us and would have walked in with us to the party with us as my cousin from visiting from Minnesota would have just been there as part of the party until the correct time.
Go ahead. Shut it down. Shut it down.
But anyway, when we ended up doing this here, she didn't want to come to Florida for Thanksgiving. She's got family of her own and all that.
I knew you did anyway, so that's why I planned on it.
Anyway, I'm the commander of American Legion Post 25 in Lawrence, and we work with Marilyn often on doing the presentations with this that she's presented to various members of our post. So she said I would be fine if I came down and did this on her behalf.
Well, I'm glad it was you, Jim.
So anyway, first let me tell you about my friend Dub. I got a lot of information from that Denise gave me, and then Wednesday when I was here, you didn't know it, but I'm not normally that conversational. I was really interviewing Dub as we talked and asking him a lot of questions about his career and so forth. But Dub, first came out. If I'm close on it, that's close enough. Don't interrupt me. Okay. First got into the National Guard in October 1947. Went into the Air Force 1950 to March 1952. I was in the Air Force Reserve from 52 until about 1960. Got that off your DD-214. Okay. So it should be good. And Dub started off training in the T-6 Texan, which is a rotary engine aircraft. A lot of power for a young kid who's never done this before. I had a similar experience flying the T-28. And sure that big engine was going to turn around and eat me alive first time I put the throttle up on it. I went on to fly the F-84 fighter bomber in Korea, a lot of combat missions, and I know you lost a lot of friends in the squadron. And then you went on from Korea to you were stationed in Japan. You were your group was really the tip of the spear for the nuclear delivery arm for the Cold War. You had the capability after, and part of that I remember we talked about it, and I read about it in some of the stuff Denise gave me. Dub was part of a record-setting trip. In order to being Cold War, you want to be able to prove to the Russians that you really can penetrate, you really can do what you say you're going to do. And so they did a non-stop flight from Japan to Thailand, which was a little over 2,600 miles. They required air refueling on the way in with the flight. And the whole time they're doing this, they're carrying the shape, at least the shape where the actual nuke weapons was almost as big as the airplane under the belly tank of this. And several different methods of delivery had been developed for this, high altitude and low altitude, depending on the situation. One of the interesting ones was the low altitude. You come in at about 400 feet and really fast. And as you come in over the target, you climb, and at about the 60-degree point, you release the bomb, and the bomb goes up, and you turn over to an immelman and fly away. The bomb comes down and explodes at about 1,000 feet or so. And the theory is that you're supposed to be clear of the area by then. That was the theory. It was never tested. And, Dub and the other guys like him and those of us have looked at it since. There's serious question whether this was a one-way trip, whether you could actually get clear of that blast in time to not get hit by this blast. Getting hit on the trailing edges of your control surface on your aircraft, and you're flying away from it, could put you in a divergent flight situation and rip your plane up. So that was the stuff that you did. Anyway, so we're here today to recognize First Lieutenant Bill Hawkins, who has given so much to protect our country and our way of life. The Quilts of Valor Foundation is a nonprofit volunteer group of quilters from all across the United States of America. Their mission is to cover our service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing quilts of valor. In 2003, a quilter, Catherine Roberts, had the idea of comforting service members engaged in combat with quilts after her son returned from a deployment in Iraq. Since then, over 360,000 quilts of valor have been awarded here in the United States, Iraq, and Afghanistan. They're awarded in major treatment centers such as Walter Reed and Brooke Army Medical Centers, and especially through personal contact like today. Their foundation represents one human being reaching out and touching another without judgment, with acceptance, and with acknowledgement of service to our nation in very trying circumstances. The Quilt of Valor is considered the highest award that a civilian can bestow on a service member or veteran. All veterans who are currently serving, and all the veterans and those who are currently serving, took a note that you remember well. I state your name. You solemnly swear that I will defend and support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I will that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. I expect you remember saying that a couple of times. Gary Sinise once made this comment that we should all remember. He said, "The current service member and a veteran is someone who at one point in their life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for any amount up to and including their life." This quote brings you a three-part message from our hearts. You'd open this up.
Oh my God.
No, just he'll stand up.
Oh, you'll stand up?
Just go over it right there.
Okay, right here.
Show it. I'll get it in too.
Oh, my word.
It's spread out so Dub can see it there.
Look out there. Hey.
This quote brings you a three-part message from our hearts. Speaking for the Quilts of Valor quilters, we honor you for your service, for leaving all you held dear to stand in harm's way in a time of crisis, protecting us from the effects of war. Our quilters know that freedom is not free. The cost of our freedom is the dedication of lives of men and women like you, so this quilt is our way of saying thank you for your sacrifice. Third, this quilt is meant to offer comfort and healing to you. It serves as a reminder that although your family and friends are not with you at all times, you are forever in our thoughts and our hearts. We believe that the quilt we bring you today has the ability to offer both comfort and healing. Our idea is that when you experience dark times, memories, or the need of a warmth or a grateful hug, you will wrap your quilt around you so you can provide the comfort that we have sewn into every seam. It was made to be used by you. Your quilt was made of the highest quality products and utilized the best available sewing and quilting techniques to honor you. As such, it can be used and laundered in typical everyday fashion. Just a little TLC. The Quilt of Valor consists of 3 layers held together by its stitches and takes 40 to 60 hours to piece together and quilt. Think of the layers in this way. The top of the quilt with its many colors, shapes, and fabrics represents the communities and the many individuals we are. The batting is the center of the quilt, its warmth. It represents our hope that this quilt will bring you much warmth, comfort, peace, and healing to the individual who receives it. The backing is the strength that supports the other layers. It represents the strength of the recipient, the support of your family, our communities, and our nation. The binding is stitched around the quilt. to bring the 3 layers together so that the finished quilt of valor can accomplish what it is meant to do, to comfort and heal. Every stitch that holds the layers together represents love, gratitude, and sometimes the tears of the maker. On this quilt is a label to remind all who see it how much we care. Each quilt of valor has a presentation case, and we'll explain that a little bit later. But today we're here to honor Dub, and stand if you will, please, Dub.
Stand up.
Why do pilots don't cry, do they?
Nope.
Yes, then.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay,
Denise.
just step forward, just a half a step, can you do that? Okay, great. You go ahead and pull that quilt around behind him. You got it right.
On this side. We just turn it around.
No, just drop it like that. There you go. Okay. Nice. That's the day the story of this quilt becomes your story. We hope you'll keep this quilt with you as a tangible reminder that the thousands of Americans across the land who are forever in your debt. Thousands of quilters all over the U.S. work daily to create quilts that cover the waves from all conflicts. Each quilt of valor is formed by loving hands that join bits of fabric together one piece at a time. A quilt of valor may be fashioned only by 1 or 2 individuals, or it may come about through combined efforts of many women and men of all skill levels. Quilters often work together in sewing groups to create these quilts. As they quote, they talk about their families and friends and how grateful they are to those who will be receiving the quilts when they're wrapped in it. Now you have become part of the quilting family, and so on behalf of the quilters of Valor Foundation, in recognition of your service and sacrifice for this nation, it's a privilege to have awarded this quilt to you. You may have served in combat while you were preserving peace. You may have made it a career, you may have served a tour, just a tour or two. You may have volunteered or been drafted. You may have been an officer enlisted. You may have served in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Merchant Marines, Reserves, or National Guard. It makes no difference. You served. You took your turn standing at a post in defense of America and all that she stands for. You did your job honorably, and for that I am proud to call you my brother. You may have served during World War II. In your case, the Korea, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Vietnam, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, Panama, Grenada, Beirut, Jordan, the Persian Gulf, Haiti, Angola, Kuwait, Somalia, Albania, Kosovo, the Balkans, Iraq, Afghanistan, or any other places that Americans have never heard of and probably never will. But you served. You earned your DD-214 with those words, honorably discharged. 2 of the most noble words in the world. Thank you, and I salute you for your service, my brother.
Thank you, Jim.
That was beautiful.
Okay, we got you in this neat case to keep it in when you're not wearing it. There's a company in South Carolina that makes flags, and sometimes the machine doesn't do it quite right, and you'll find and they'll screw up. So rather than throw this flag material away, they give them to the Quilt of Valor folks, and they make the cases out of it. So you'll see there are a couple of flaws on it, but those are intentional.
That's wonderful.
And that's why they're there. So if you need to put it away, put it in here. But it's meant to be worn. It's meant to be used. It's meant to be put over your way while you watch TV.
Thank you, Jim.
Good deal. Bob Hawkins, United States.
Close enough.
Short for W.
Yeah.
I guess.
Thank you, Jim. That was wonderful.
You
I
bet.
appreciate it. It's an honor to serve with you. Even if you were Navy.
Well, I thank you for your service.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. I love you and admire you
They
so
didn't-
much.
They did have their hooks in me for 16 years. you
Yeah,
know.
I know.
Hey, Dub, you didn't know you had this many friends, did you?
I
I didn't know you had
All
this
in
many
one
friends.
place, too.
Well, you paid me $100.
I was wondering why you didn't shave it.
You're not the minister.
We promised them all food.
Well, we have plenty. We need to like to stay for dinner.
Speech.
No speeches, guys. I do thank you for showing up, Phil. for this.
That was awesome, wasn't it?
This was totally unexpected, but appreciated.
Yeah.
I had one more chance to make a name for myself, if you want to call it that, when we were out in Palm Springs in June. I met with the guy that wrote the book for Love of God and Country, and I just fell in love with his book. He was in Vietnam. He was fighting in Asia before the war even started. There's a covert group in T-28s, and some of his experiences are just extraordinary. So I just had to meet him, so I went out there, and I did. We spent hours and hours talking,
I'll bet.
and we had a lot in common. So he tried to get me to interview the last day I was there, so they could record and put in the archives in Washington. And I refused because poor Faye, I left her sitting at home too many days, while I was out having fun. So anyway, this is just as nice, as important to me as that would have been to Jim. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.